Joining us right now on KSFO as promised, Gerald Celente. Gerald, a pleasure having you back on KSFO.
Oh, thank you, Brian. Thanks for having me.
Let's start with a few headlines. I'm reading here that in Los Angeles, Gerald, $111 million of stimulus money given to Los Angeles, and the controller of L.A. has admitted we've only been able to make 55 jobs out of that $111 million. What is this stimulus all about, Gerald?
The stimulus is all about enriching the rich, the bailing out the bigs. That's all this money did. When you look at where the benefits have gone, they've gone to the banks and the politically connected. And that's why we have this temporary, I love it, Brian. They're saying, are we going to go into a double dip recession? You know, double dip like it's an ice cream cone. We haven't gotten out of the first recession. You know, really, it's just that white shoe boys language, you know. They keep using it. And when you look at the numbers, you just go on, and you cannot deny what's going on. And the reality of it all is that you look at the foreclosure rates. You know, what are they at? You know, they're hitting. They rose from August to July at you know, record levels, and they're just getting worse. You look at again. This is white shoe boy language. They go, prices in U.S. climb for second month, easing deflation concern.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, isn't that wonderful? Things are going to cost us more. I mean, how can they get away with this kind of stuff?
Okay. Well, here's another one. These headlines that are procured and touted by the mainstream media. Unemployment. We've had 8 months of growth in the private sector.
Yeah, right. 8 months of growth in the private sector. We have to create 125,000 jobs a month just to stay even. Last month, the stock market went up at the beginning of this month when they said that we only lost 54,000 jobs, you know. And look at the wonderful jobs that are being created. You look at the numbers. Hey, you want a job as a home health aide? There's one waiting for you. You want a job as a stocking shelves in Walmarts at 2 in the morning? We got a job for you. Those are the jobs that are being created. There's no recovery. It's a cover-up. And it's only been juiced up by this stimulus. Look at the current events form future trends. You look at what's going on around the world, and you can see the reality. Check out to see what the price of gold is. Gold is selling now for $1,276 an ounce. That shows you how little faith the people around the world have in these paper currencies that they're printing at warp speed. Digital money not worth the paper it's not printed on.
Gerald Celente, the world's #1 trends forecaster, with us on KSFO, on the web at trendsresearch.com. Well, it's interesting, Gerald, you mentioned gold, and we spent last hour talking a lot about gold, and now we have Anthony Weiner, congressman from New York, who wants to hold some hearings regarding the gold industry. There's something about gold that these liberal Democrats who are politicians just don't like, isn't there?
Well, he wants Weiner. What about Weenie? Where does this guy come off holding, wants to hold hearings on gold? How about holding more hearings on the Goldman Sachs gang? I mean, this is a riot. You know what? Here's the story. This is what happened in the United States. Back in 1933, when Roosevelt became president, they passed the National Emergency Banking Act. What they did, they loved, you know, when you're a kid, you read about the stuff they tell you in college and high school. They called a bank holiday. Holiday. You can't get your money out of the bank. And when you get your money out of the bank, it's worth less than it was before. Here's what they did. When you start hearing weenies talking about holding hearings on gold valuations, what they did was they forced, by law, the American people to turn in their gold. And you had to sell it back to the government because in those days the dollar was pegged to gold. You had to sell it back to the government at $20.62 an ounce. And if you didn't, you went to jail. That was the law. Now, when they got it all in, because remember now, the dollar was pegged to gold. That's what the run on the banks was about, by the way. Not like these fairy tales they show you on the movies, because the dollar was backed by gold. People were taking that paper that wasn't worth anything and going to the banks and demanding that they turn it back into gold. So that was the run on the banks. So now what they did, once they had all the gold in, they changed the price of gold. They repegged it to $35 an ounce. So when they talk about the Great Depression and how terrible things were and it cost so much money, yeah, because what you used to be able to buy before they devalued it just cost you 70% more. And that's what they're going to do again. They're going to call a bank holiday. You mark my words, because this global crisis going on, they're not going to solve it by printing more money. And I love the language. And only these people, these politicians, could get away with this stuff. You listen to Obama's speech after he becomes president in 2009, State of the Union address. We're going to rebuild America. We're going to recover, and we're going to be stronger than we were before if you follow my programs. Now the programs come into place. Listen to them a couple of weeks ago. Well, they didn't work just like we hoped they would. What do you mean they didn't work like you hoped they would? The United States, since Obama's been president, has spent, lent, and guaranteed over $13 trillion. And you know who they lent, spent, and guaranteed it to? The big guys, the big banks. All of our mortgages, they floated this. They suckered people into buying into a failing real estate market. We'll give you an $8,000 break tax break when you buy that house.
Mm-hmm.
You know, how is that? With the $40 billion that cost us. Now, who benefited from it? All of the loans, they call this capitalism. It's not capitalism, and it ain't socialism either, folks. The merger of state and corporate powers is called fascism.
Yes, it is.
Definition.
Yes, it is.
That's what Mussolini called it.
That's right. You're exactly right. This is fascism.
It's fascism. Call a spade a spade. That's what it is. Here, we own Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac. Here's the deal, and I love the language. The Treasury is backing these loans. So a bank takes no risk. They give you a mortgage. The mortgage goes bad. Freddie, Fannie, and FHA, 95% of them are backed by it. What Treasury? We're the Treasury. You, Brian, me, all of you people out there. Every time there's a loss, it comes out of your pocket. And that's what they've done with this. It's a scam. They're bailing out the banks. The banks are putting in record profits. And when you talk about the merger of state and corporate powers, remember the too big to fails? They just got bigger. Mm-hmm. Count them. Everybody could do this one. This is an easy exercise. Take your fingers, count to 10. 10 banks control 80% of all of the financial action in the USA. And you take that and you keep multiplying it. Look at that egg company that they just, what is it, 500 million eggs?
Yeah.
And they bust this little kid up in Oregon, I love it, for selling lemonade. You know, we got to, and this is the words from the health inspector that busted her, because she didn't get a $140 license.
Right.
Right. He said, well, you know, it may sound small, but, you know, we have to protect the people, big or small. Yeah. 300 million eggs they put out on the market, and you know how many times the FDA had been there before in the last year to this chicken coop concentration camp. You know how many times? None. I was thinking they should, and they have the names. I love the names they have on their eggs: Hillendale Farms, Sunnyacre Farms. Yeah, how about Auschwitz farms with chicken coop concentration camps.
And they've never been inspected.
And they've never been inspected. So the point that I'm making is they're squeezing the little people. And that's what they do in fascism. They squeeze the little people like they squeeze that little kid selling lemonade. You go 5 miles over the limit, go over that yellow line, have 2 drinks or glasses of wine. Man, you're up against that car with handcuffs on your back. You know, so that's what's happening in America, and people better wake up to this because there's going to be, we believe, a terrorist strike, something major happening, a financial calamity, but the bottom line is going to be this. They're going to call a bank holiday, and your money's going to be locked up. Do we have to do this because the security of the United States and these terrible people, blah, 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 they'll make up a story. Whatever it might be, you can always trust that you can't believe it. Whether it's the Gulf of Tonkin, remember the Maine, or Saddam Hussein had weapons of mass destruction, they'll lie about it.